All right, welcome back, everyone. We're ready for another deep dive. And this one, well, this one is going to be pretty fascinating, I think.
I think so too.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at near-death experiences,
Right.
NDEs,
Right?
and we're going to kind of tie that in with the Akashic records and see if there's some overlaps there.
Okay.
So, most of you have probably heard about NDEs. Those are those amazing stories you hear where people, they come close to death,
Mm-hmm.
and they have these experiences where maybe they feel very peaceful,
Yeah.
or they see a bright light, or they have an out-of-body experience, or they even see loved ones that have passed away, things like that.
Exactly.
And it's really it's a profound experience that a lot of people have reported.
Definitely. And I think there's a lot of mystery and intrigue around it.
Oh, absolutely. So then we've also got this concept of the Akashic records, and it's this idea of a cosmic library that has a record of everything, like every thought, every word, every action.
Hmm.
So everything that has ever happened or will happen is in this record.
Like a universal database
Yeah.
of all existence.
So what we're going to try to do in this deep dive is we're going to kind of look at how are these two things related?
Okay.
How do these two things, these two seemingly separate concepts, how do they kind of intertwine? And what could that tell us about, things like consciousness
Right.
and the nature of reality itself?
Yeah, because they both seem to revolve around this idea of accessing some kind of, like you said, like a wellspring, a pool of knowledge
Hmm.
that's beyond our normal understanding, our normal everyday experience.
Right. And I think that's the really fascinating part because, when you look at NDEs,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that people often report is that they experience this life review
Yes.
where they see their whole lives, like everything they've ever done, and not just see it, but really understand the impact of their actions.
Mm.
Like they see how their actions affected other people.
Yeah, the ripple effects.
Yeah.
And also the consequences, both positive and negative.
And it's like their soul's journey is suddenly just laid bare before them.
Exactly.
Like it's this record.
It's like they're accessing their own personal Akashic records in a way.
Right. But here's the thing, it gets even more interesting because sometimes people in NDEs, they report knowing things that go beyond their own personal lives.
Right.
It's like they're tapping into some broader knowledge, almost like the Akashic records.
Mhm.
Like there are some people who've had NDEs who say they saw past lives or they gained insights into the workings of the universe.
Like Dr. George Ritchie. He's a physician who had an NDE back in 1943. And during his experience, he described being shown events from the past and the future, events that went way beyond his own lifetime. And he was guided through these different realms that were beyond his normal perception. So it really begs the question, could he have been accessing some kind of universal knowledge base, something similar to the Akashic records?
It's a mind-blowing concept. I mean, if NDEs are offering us, even if it's just a glimpse into this, this Akashic records, what does that mean? Does that mean that consciousness isn't just, limited to our brains?
Yeah, it really challenges our understanding of what consciousness is and where it resides.
Right, because it suggests that maybe it can exist outside of our bodies,
Yeah.
and maybe it can connect to this wider field of information.
Yeah, and it has some really interesting spiritual implications too, because both NDEs and the Akashic records, they make us question those purely materialistic views of reality.
They do. They
Ah.
definitely make you think about these things in a different way.
Because if consciousness can persist beyond the physical body, if there's this interconnected web of knowledge that we can tap into, then that suggests a reality that's far more expansive and mysterious than we might typically imagine.
That's true. But, we do have to remember that, not everyone interprets NDEs in this way.
Right, right.
There are scientists who they say that NDEs, they can be explained by, what's happening in the brain during trauma.
Mm-hmm. Physiological changes, oxygen deprivation, things like that.
Right. And obviously when it comes to the Akashic records, that's a metaphysical concept.
Yeah,
It's not something that's been scientifically proven.
exactly. And even among those who believe in the Akashic records, there's a lot of different interpretations.
Oh.
Some people see it as this literal library, like you can go and you can find specific information, like you're checking out a book.
Right.
While others, they see it as more of an energetic field, like a field of consciousness that we can kind of tune into. So there's a lot of variety in how people understand it.
Yeah, and I think the important thing to remember is that how we interpret these concepts, NDEs, the Akashic records,
Yeah.
it's very personal. It's going to vary depending on your own beliefs and experiences.
Exactly. There's no one right answer.
So we've looked at these really intriguing connections between NDEs and the Akashic records.
Yeah, we've seen how they both suggest that there's this universal knowledge base that might exist, and they both challenge our traditional understanding of consciousness.
They do.
Yeah.
And even though there's a lot of debate, about whether these things are real, whether they're valid,
Mm-hmm.
just the idea itself, just the possibility,
Yeah.
it opens up so many questions. It really does.
It really makes you think about who we are, what our place is in the universe, and what reality truly is.
Right. Like if some NDEs are showing us a glimpse of the Akashic records, what does that say about consciousness?
Mm-hmm.
Does it mean that it continues even after our physical bodies are gone?
Yeah.
Are we all connected in ways that we don't even understand yet?
Are we all part of this grand cosmic tapestry that holds the record of everything that's ever been?
Yeah. And what does that mean for us? What does that mean for our lives, our purpose?
It's a lot to think about, isn't it?
It really is. But it's fascinating, and I think it's something that we should all keep exploring, keep questioning, keep searching for answers.
Absolutely. I think the journey itself is just as important as the destination.
Well said. Well, folks, that's another deep dive for you. We hope you found it thought-provoking and maybe even a little bit mind-bending.
And we hope it encourages you to continue your own exploration of these fascinating mysteries.
Until next time,
Take care.
bye.
Please click like and then subscribe. Also share this video with your friends. Thank you.